Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 1990's Represent. We're still in our fifth cycle of 1998, talking about a movie. And in this episode, we're talking about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Just a really fun, kind of bizarre movie, almost like basically no plot, really. I've never read the original book or anything like that, but it's just basically Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro on a huge just like drug bender basically through the course of the entire film. It's Benicio del Toro and Johnny Depp are just like really good in this movie. I had also forgotten how many kind of cameos and other big name actors and actresses were actually in this movie in various small parts. So I never saw this movie when it first came out. I think the first time I saw it was one of the first movies I watched on Netflix when I got a Netflix account, like in like 2008 or 2009. Did the DVD account and then had streaming. I remember watching it on streaming back in either 2000, like I said, 2008 or 2009. I had only seen it once before, or that one time before rewatching it again. I think now it was on. I think I watched it on Amazon this time, Amazon Prime. But I have some notes here about the movie. We're going to get through those, and then we will like discuss the plot and all that. So let me just get my notebook here. Yeah, there we go. So Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. First released May 22nd, 1998. Like I remember seeing commercials and trailers for it. I think one of the trailers specifically like focused a lot on like the people when they turn into like alligators or lizards or whatever they were when Johnny Depp's character is kind of just like tripping out. Directed by Terry Gilliam, so I think a very good director for his style of movie. I don't know. I know previously to this he had directed 12 Monkeys, which I saw in theaters. And I think I've seen. I don't. I would have to go through his like filmography and see. But like I remember watching somewhat recently, within like the last few years, a theater here showed Brazil, which I thought was really good. And then another theater actually did have another a screening of 12 Monkeys like a year or two ago that I went to. But I had only ever seen 12 Monkeys once before, like on when it came out originally. Obviously based on the book by Hunter S. Thompson. The movie came out to apparently kind of mixed reviews, and it didn't make a lot of money. It wasn't very commercially successful. But I think, according to my research, it's kind of obviously picked up like cult status, like within like a cult following, like so to speak. So we got that. Apparently, in 1976, I think Larry McCurdy was said he was going to write a screenplay, and then various filmmakers, I think, over the years attempted to make the movie, but just eventually moved on and didn't direct it. But like, according to my research, the list of people that were potentially going to work on this were Martin Scorsese, Oliver Stone, and Ralph Bakshi. They all attempted to get it off the ground and just couldn't. And then eventually, when it came time to actually make the movie, they ended up going with with Terry Gilliam. I think Scorsese would have been an interesting choice had he done this. I don't know like how he would have like approached it. Oliver Stone could have been good. Ralph Bakshi, the only thing I'm really familiar with him is I think he did the animated Lord of the Rings films. So I don't know if I don't know if he did anything. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything of his that wasn't animated. But Martin Scorsese would have probably, out of those three, would have been the one that I think would have been like obviously the best choice to direct it. But I think he could have made an interesting version of this movie as well. I gotta pull up some quotes here about some of the stuff that was going on. Let me just pull this up here. It was a quote from Hunter S. Thompson about them kind of delaying in getting the movie made. Okay, yeah. So basically, like I think Rhino Films constantly was trying to get extensions on for the rights. And Hunter S. Thompson, remember, had a quote that said, "quote He just kept asking for more time. I got kind of agitated about it because I thought they were trying to put off doing it. So I began to charge them more. I wanted to see the movie done once it got started." So basically, he's kind of just feeling like they're just kind of dragging their feet. I do think it's funny that he's like basically like, if you're going to keep delaying this, I'm just going to charge you more to get the rights to the movie. So that was that quote. Apparently, some other combos of actors. So basically, this film is Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro, but some other names or like groups of people that were floated for these two roles were like probably this is probably back when they were initially maybe trying to get it off the ground in the 70s and maybe into the 80s. Was Jack Nicholson and Marlon Brando. That could have been funny. Also, Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, I think, were considered as well. Let's see here. And then when Johnny Depp got the role, he actually lived in Hunter S. Thompson's basement, I think for like 4 months, to kind of study like his mannerisms and his habits and things like that to get more immersed in the role. And then he also said there was a bunch of like notebooks he was reading, like Hunter S. Thompson's notes and things like that. Let me actually just pull up Johnny Depp's quote here. Here we go. So he's talking about just like reading through like notebooks about this. It says, quote, and this is Johnny Depp, said, quote, he saved it all. Not only is the book true, but there's more, and it was worse. So basically, like stuff that didn't make it, into the book was even more over the top than the stuff that made it into the book and then eventually made it into the movie, which is just crazy. I've never actually read a Hunter S. Thompson book. I think I remember like trying to start one at one point, just not really getting into it. The whole kind of, I think they call it like gonzo journalism thing, I feel is a little like disjointed. Like it's obviously intended to be like that because basically it's you are, or the author, Hunter S. Thompson in this case, you are basically in these situations and you're kind of just almost like stream of consciousness discussing what's going on and things like that. So it's kind of like oral history, like books, so to speak. It's not my style of like novel or book, but it does make for kind of like it does allow you to kind of see like what the author was seeing when they were doing this. We got those quotes. The soundtrack is also really good. I have a list of the songs on the soundtrack. Let me just pull these up. I think some of these are. I don't know if anything was written specifically for the movie, but the track one, the soundtrack is like 61 minutes long. Yeah, about a little over an hour. Track one is combination of the two, which is Big Brother and the Holding Company. Track two, one of my favorite tracks on the soundtrack, and one of my favorite scenes is Benicio del Toro's character. Like they're driving through the desert very early into the film, and I think the song comes on the radio and he starts to singing along to it really badly. And it's One Toke Over the Line by Brewer and Shipley. Absolutely love that song, and I think Benicio just does a great job of kind of like singing along to it in the movie, like doing a terrible job, of course, or the character doing a terrible job. After that, we have She's a Lady by Tom Jones, followed by For Your Love by the Yardbirds, then White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane. There's a whole scene where he wants, I think, the guy to drop the tape player into the bathtub he's like, as White Rabbit peeks, drop this into the tub, kind of thing. Then there is a Drug Score Part 1 Acid Spill, which is done by, hopefully we're going to pronounce this correctly, Tommaso Hotai and Ray Cooper. Then we have Get Together by the Youngbloods. After that is Mama Told Me Not to Come by Three Dog Night. After that, we have Stuck Inside of Mobile with the Memphis Blues Again by Bob Dylan. Next up is Time Is Right by Booker T and the MGs. Then there's Magic Moments by Perry Como. There is another track, a Drug Score Part 2, which is Adachrome, The Devil's Dance, which is, again, Tommaso Hoti and Ray Cooper. After that, we have Tammy by Debbie Reynolds. A Drug Score Part 3, which is Flashbacks. Again, Tommaso Hoti and Ray Cooper. Then we have Expecting to Fly by Buffalo Springfield. And Viva Las Vegas by the Dead Kennedys. That's what's on the soundtrack. I think Jumpin' Jack Flash by the Rolling Stones is what's used in the end credits to the movie. So just a really good like soundtrack, and actually like One Toke Over the Line, I absolutely just love that song. So Really glad that that actually made it into the movie and on the soundtrack. Now we're going to get to the plot of this movie, which basically there almost is no plot really. Movie starts off with our characters driving through the desert in their convertible, and they're talking about driving through bat country because they're just tripping, seeing bats everywhere. And you see Johnny Depp's character like taking like a fly swatter and he's like swinging at these bats. Like Johnny Depp is just amazing in this. He definitely nails the kind of the role, the Hunter S. Thompson role, like pretty perfectly. So he does a whole thing where he like lists all the drugs that they're bringing with him. He's like, we've got it's like just like a whole like laundry list of everything they're bringing. They pick up a hitchhiker, which I forgot was played by Tobey Maguire. So the hitchhiker, I think, like he's explaining, like Johnny Depp is explaining all this stuff to him, but he kind of just splits. They eventually get to Las Vegas, and they're getting ready to, like check into their hotel, and they're basically still just completely drugged out of their minds at this point. They go around. Basically they go around, do a bunch of drugs, get drunk. They are there to cover like a motorcycle race, and I think the actor, I think is Richard Reel. I think he shows up in this. Let me see if I can just pull the cast up because it's a very small part. He's like literally just like don't know if he even has any dialogue, but yeah, the cameos. Richard. He might not even be listed on the cameo list, but like he is probably most well known, at least in my Richard Reel as Dune buggy driver, and this is just in the scene where like basically it's almost like a war flashback during this motorcycle race. But Richard Reel plays I think it's Tom Wiskowski from Office Space, the guy, the jump to conclusions guy. He's in this movie. Um, but yeah, they're covering this motorcycle race. They go back to their hotel. I think at one point they go to, I forget what they call it in the movie, but it's supposed to be Circus Circus. But apparently, I think, according to my research, Circus Circus did not let them, or did not want them to use that name. So they renamed the casino to something different. But you can obviously tell that it's supposed to be their version of Circus Circus. But yeah, they're going around, still doing a bunch of stuff. I think at one point, I don't know if this was before or after, but at one point, Benicio del Toro's character leaves and goes back to L.A. and Johnny Depp is kind of like on his own, and then del Toro's character shows back up later. Like Christina Ricci's in this. It's like she plays somebody that is a fan of. I'm trying to think of the actor's name. I think it's Barbara Streisand. She does paintings of Barbara Streisand. It's just completely wacky and weird. Cameron Diaz is in this. She's like they're talking to her on an elevator. Gary Busey plays like a highway patrolman. So it's just a lot of just big name actors like doing these kind of very small parts. I think this came out before There's Something About Mary, so Cameron Diaz was still had a lot of popularity going from The Mask, but I think after There's Something About Mary, which was the same year, that's when she kind of like really blew up. Like I think like she kind of coasted on The Mask for a couple years, and then There's Something About Mary, I think, brought her to like the kind of like A-list level, I think. But yeah, so they're going around that like they just keep doing like all this stuff. They get like there's a part where like Benicio del Toro's got like a dagger, like a huge knife. He's like chopping fruit out like in like the hotel room. Like I said, at one point he's sitting in a bathtub and wants Johnny Depp to drop the tape player into the bathtub, like during like the peak of what was it, White Rabbit. But at one point Benicio goes back to L.A. and Johnny Depp calls him, and they're supposed to be going to some kind of conference. And so they go to the conference, and there's just a bunch of like it's so like scattered all over the place. Like the plot is almost nonsensical. Like the plot is kind of like just like there. I think you're kind of there for the performances from Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro. One of the scenes that is a little disturbing and kind of crazy is like they're at like one of the last scenes of the movie is they're at like a diner, and it's just the two of them eating. And I gotta bring up the cast list to get the actress's name. Let me just see here. Was it that? Yeah. So Ellen Barkin is like the waitress at this cafe that they go to, and she at one point tries to throw them out, and then like Benicio del Toro's character is like threatening her at one point, and he's asking how much the pie cost, and he just like puts a bunch of money like in her shirt, and then like takes the pie. It's like pretty like that scene is kind of like one of the like scenes in the movie that is kind of like absolutely kind of crazy. But let me actually just go through the cast list here, just so yeah. So we have Johnny Depp as Raul Duke, which is basically Hunter S. Thompson. We have Benicio del Toro as Dr. Gonzo, Ellen Barkin as the waitress. That's kind of a small part, but like we have Craig Bierko as Lacerda. He's one of the other like photographers that's I think covering the race. Gary Busey as the highway patrolman. Cameron Diaz is the TV reporter. Flea for the Red Hot Chili Peppers is in like a scene like it's a flashback to the 1960s, and like I think like what happens is like Hunter S. Thompson's character gets some stuff on his shirt, and Flea comes in and starts like trying to like sniff the drugs off of his shirt. It's like completely crazy. Yeah, Michael Jeter as he's like Dr. Burnquist. He's like Lyle Lovett's in this. Tobey Maguire is the hitchhiker. Chris Maloney as the Flamenco hotel clerk. Christina Ricci plays Lucy. Harry Dean Stanton is the judge. We also have, like I said, Richard Reel, Dune Buggy driver. Let's see if anybody else pops up here. And then the cameos, you have like Debbie Reynolds, you have Vern Troyer, he pops up for a second. Then Hunter S. Thompson shows up in a flashback as the older version of Raul Duke. So just and then like eventually at the end of the movie is them getting driving up to the airport to get Benicio del Toro's character onto a flight. And yeah, it's just kind of all over the place. Like the plot, like I said, the movie basically almost like doesn't even have a plot, which is kind of crazy. So I can definitely see like how like this movie has attracted kind of like that cult audience. But just probably the biggest takeaway for me from this movie is the acting from both Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro. Like they absolutely like are perfect in these roles. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for this video. Like I said, like I wish I could describe the plot a little bit better, but like basically it's just them going from point A to point B, and in the process of going from those points being just incredibly high and hallucinating and seeing things. You have like seeing like lizard people. You see like the floors like almost like bleeding in one of the hotels and what have you. There's a part where like they're on a carousel at the circus like thing, and I think like they're trying to get off of it, and like they just can't get off of it. It's also like basically it's a dark comedy, but it's just incredibly fun. Highly recommended. That is going to do it though for this episode. We'll be back again in a few days, covering a video game from 1998. Don't know what that's gonna be just yet, but we'll be back with that, and then we'll be doing our next cycle of 1999, or the fifth cycle of that before starting over again. But again, that's going to do it for now. So remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.